Hi and welcome to a closer look at MudShark 7. Today our webinar presentation will look deeper into MudShark 7 and show you how you can get the most out of our Earthworks estimating software. My name is Danny and I'm the newly appointed operations manager here at Brightbox Software, and I'd like to introduce Martin Schickel, our product expert, director and co-founder, who will be walking us through MudShark today. As you can see, we'll be covering quite a few new features that have been delivered in MudShark 7. We'll start by covering the ribbon and access to the new features, then go through some advances in takeoff, including offset input, dash contours, and improved snapping. We'll cover how banking and batter can be done, then using length, area, and count measurement tools. We'll finish up with some other improvements to help you work faster, including remembering what you've entered and using merge. I'll let Martin take over for a closer look at MudShark 7.
Hi everyone, so we've got quite a lot to get through, so I'll just get straight into it. Lots of new exciting features here. So in keeping with the MudShark philosophy of trying to give you new features to help you get more out of MudShark and new tools to help you do things faster, we've got the same philosophy in version 7 here. We've added in measurement tools on the toolbar here, so you can do counts, lengths and areas, which we'll get into later, but that's really cool. Completely independent of the cut and fill, you can just measure off stuff from your plans, so you don't have to go and do measurements in other systems now. Very useful. And we've got some new tools to help speed up your input, and they're grouped here by types, so you can come in and pick from these drop down boxes. So a really exciting feature I think that we've got now is with contours. Traditionally you've had to either trace them in with the polyline tool, or if you've got a continuous line you could transmute them, so really useful for doing things fast there. But when you had dash lines you had to resort to polyline to trace around, but now we've done a transmute dash lines option, and that will speed up your input considerably, because now all you need to do is give it a seed curve and it has a go at joining up all the dash lines around it, and then when it stops because it can't figure out what to do next, you can help it along by just picking the next thing in the chain, and it will carry on around until it gets to another point, and we can do that there and join. So it's a really neat fast tool there, and it can handle quite a variety of situations where you've got some offsets and peculiar inputs going on, so you can get around quite nicely by helping it along there and finishing. So it's very useful, very quick now compared with what you had to do before, and I hope you enjoy using that. So what I'd like to show you next is a couple of other things that we've got going. I'll pull in this, and what we can do is calculate here. So again, what I'm going to show you here is Heatmaps, which is a great new feature for getting more information, more visual information about what's going on your project. So if I hit calculate, we can do calculate heat maps and go OK, and that'll run through and generate heat maps for us, which we can come in here and highlight, and it'll tell you your fill zones, your maximum fills, all the way through to your maximum cuts, and you can get a visual effect of how it's all working. You can print this out, or you can export it to an image which you can print out and then use to plan your digging operations. So quite a useful new tool there with a visual impact of what's going on. And you can also, if you want to, isolate specific items, so you can have a look at just the foundation or just the driveway in this example. So very useful tool there, and you can get quite a nice view of your site and the complexities of the cut and fill. So what I'd like to do next is show you some of the input tools that we've got and some of the measurement tools, which is all aimed at making your life easier, doing quick measurements and quick takeoff to get your information out as quickly as possible. So let's have a look at this one, which is essentially the other project in a different situation. I'll just show you in 3D. This is the standard sort of training one, and I'll go into takeoff view in proposed site. So let's say we want to put a footpath around the edge of this building. Before you'd have had to come in and put your points in one at a time, and then trace your footpath around the edge. But if you want a metre wide one and it's on a sloping line, we can do that now nice and easily with our extrude input line here. So let's go and create a new structure, and we'll call it footpath. I won't bother setting anything apart from some material. So now, as I mentioned, our extrude operations and offset operations work with sloping lines, whereas in version 6 it was restricted to horizontal lines or flat lines. And so this gives you a lot more power and flexibility to do things. So this is actually a sloping driveway that comes up and then it plateaus at the top here with the parking circle. And in addition, we've improved the snapping tools for that. So we can come in here, and if I do Control Shift and snap, it automatically will grab the highest point, which it didn't used to, which makes life a lot easier. I'll go and select the right tool, extrude input line. So Control Shift, grab that, grab that, grab that. Grab that point, and then finish. And now we can tell it what our offset is, a metre. Always checking here where we're going. So we've got your visual stuff, so you can check that you're going in the right direction. Helps you get it right first time. So we could go that way or that way, and we'll just go OK. And that's automatically generated a 1 metre wide footpath around the building there. Very quick, very easy, and with the new improved snapping, making your life a lot easier. And now if we rotate that up, we can see that's come out in line with the driveway. So if we actually wanted to put that up a bit, we've got all the other tools that we've got available, so we can come in and do adjust altitude. Say we wanted it a little bit higher, we can go 0.1 up and just go OK, and we've adjusted that up so it sits a bit above the thing, above the driveway. So let's hit calculate. And go to the 3D site. So you can see now we've generated very quickly a nice parallel footpath running around the building, nice and easy and fast. So in reality, of course, you'd have a retaining wall or some sort of bank off that, which was difficult in version 6. Again, we've put some tools in and options in to make life easier and faster for you. You'd have had to trace out and work out where all the intersection points are now, but now we can automate that for you. So we'll come in here and go to takeoff view, top down, and we'll go new structure, bank. No materials, no altitudes, we just go straight into it, and we'll go create. Now again, because we can now use our offset tools with a sloping line, we can come up this slope here. So I can do extrude input line, Control Shift to snap to that edge, Control Shift to snap to that edge. And now we can offset that, so we'll go 3 meters, and then say we want it at minus 30 degrees, so we've got a 30-degree bank coming off, and we'll go OK, and that will generate that nicely, and then we'll come and put the other side on whilst we're at it, so Control Shift snap, and right click, and now as you can see here it's cached up the previous input, so now we only have to go and change one thing, and go OK, and so now we've got very quickly generated 2 offset sloping structures. Now I haven't used any of the advanced features here, so if we calculate this, so just to show you what happens. And go to the 3D site. It's done as you'd expect, it's chopped all the way through where that structure was sloping down. But we don't want that. What we want is it to trim around to the edge of the top surface there. So we've made that really easy for you now, nice and quick as well. So we can come into the bank, go to the advanced options, and now we want to trim the top surface of our structure to the proposed site. In this case, because we've got no materials, top and bottom are the same. And it makes a guess at what you want to do. So outsiders, we want the bit that's outside of the ground. So that's what it's going to give us there. So now if I calculate, what it's done is it's trimmed it around to the top surface, so we've just got our bank coming down from the top edge of our pathway down to the bottom edge. So it's all in just setting up the bank correctly, and it's nice and easily done. And if you go to the takeoff view, you can see what it's done is it's calculated the trimmed edge, and I'll just rotate it up a bit. You can see it's calculated the trimmed edge all the way around there. So it's giving you now the true surface area of that bank as it comes down, not the original structure we put in, and the boundary perimeter in the results. So nice and quick and easy now to do bank, and similar process for batter. So we've improved that considerably to be a lot faster for you and give you more accurate results there without you having to worry about the detail. So really good. And of course we can put some material into that. So I'll come in here, let's say we're going to put some topsoil into that. 10 centimeters thick will do, and calculate. And you can see it's recalculated that intersection. And if we go to 3D site now, we've got this layer of topsoil sitting on top in the cut along that bank. So I'll just come down here and switch that off, and you can see the cut in there. So again, nice and easy, and you can get accurate results off it for quite complex structures now. So we've seen now we've got some nice advanced features in structures, so we can do some very complex structures now. We're nice and easily automatically calculating information for you, and we've got some nice tools there. You could see how quick it was to actually input the detail that we needed. So now let's have a look at the new measurement tools and what information we can extract from them. This will save you having to go to other packages to do measurements. You've scaled your plans, you can go straight in and start taking your measurements off. So let's go to takeoff view, and let's say that we want to put in a landscaping area on top of this topsoil off the bank, and we want some mulch over the top and a weed barrier in. So we can go in here and create a new area, and we've got groups and subgroups, so you've got quite a bit of control over what you want. You can have just a group, or you can have a group and subgroup, and the name of the thing. So let's just go and create a group actually called landscape, and a subgroup, say bank landscape, and we'll call the area mulching area, say. And we'll put some materials in. Let's put in mulch and a weed barrier. Now here we can put in no depth thickness for the weed barrier because we just want the area of the weed barrier. So we just do that. So we can get areas and volumes out of an area, which is a handy thing. And we'll go create. And now, again, in terms of speeding up your input, we can take advantage of the fact that we've already kind of calculated this zone. We can just go and use Transmute and grab that edge and grab that edge. And you can see it's created two overlaid surfaces there. So let's go and have a look in 3D. So in 3D, what we'll see is, if we come in here and switch on the mulch area and the bank, if we zoom in a little bit here, you can see that it's put the bank and the mulch over the top of each other. So if I switch the mulch off, we've got the bank there. So we've got a nice cool new feature to give you again more accurate representation and more accurate information. If I come in and grab this, we can actually say that we've defined the bottom of the surface, not the top, which is the standard for version 6 and MudShark. So if I click bottom, you can see it's moved it up, and if there's any adjustment in volume because it's sitting on top now rather than underneath, that'll come out in your results. So we've got that running around now, offset up. So what we can do is we can go and look in our results to see what happens. So again, nice and easy information there. We've got our landscape group, our bank landscape, and the mulch area, and we can now get the net area, the mulch volume, the weed barrier area, and the boundary, the two boundary lengths that we had for it. So there's quite a lot of information you can get out of the area tool immediately. And as I say, it's not part of the cut and fill process, it's just a measurement off, but an intelligent measurement that gives you all that information. So that's quite good. So next thing we'll do is we'll look at lengths. And let's say we want to put a little fence around this sort of edge, like a little boundary line fence around the edge of our footpath here. So let's go down to takeoff view. And there's several things we can do here, but I'll show you another thing that will make your life easier and speed things up for you. You could just come in and go polyline, new length and then polyline, and start clicking around using the snap, but I'll just show you a trick, and well, it's a new use of the tools. So let's go new length, and let's go and put it in the same place it was before. So we'll go landscape and bank landscaping and make it just part of that group, and we'll call it fence. Now we won't do anything with this information just yet, I'll show you what that gives you later, and let's go and pick a colour just to make it a bit nicer, say sort of that, and go create. So what we can do, we can take advantage of transmute again, so we'll go and transmute, and we'll transmute the footpath boundary, so let's do that. Now of course what we've got now is a boundary going all the way around, but what we can do now is we can come and use the split selected line tools to speed things up nicely, and just chop that there and chop that there. So we've split it up our line now. So if we come to takeoff, we can see we've got all these multiple lines. And what we can do now is go select, and we can pick ones that we want to delete because they're not really part of what we need. So we'll delete that one, and we'll delete that inner one, and click on that, and let's just get rid of these little endpoints here, and that little endpoint there. So now we've got a length that just runs around the outside. So with this, again, we're speeding things up. If you've got a complex structure that you want to take things off from, you can just transmute it and then chop off the pieces that you don't want. So it makes life a lot easier, and you can take advantage of input you've already done to help you do input that you've got. And there's nothing to stop you actually doing this and then going in and adding more points and stuff to this structure so you can use it as a reference. So let's go and look at this in a slightly rotated 3D view. And hang on. And let's have a quick look at the results. So now in our landscape, bank landscape, we've got the fence, and we've got its length and count. So we can get more information still from that, which is very useful. Let's say that that is actually going to be a little cobblestone liner or something. What we can do if we want is we can come in here, we can give it some height. So I'll just put a ridiculous height in to show you. So if that was a fence, we could put in 1 meter high, and if we go and look at the results, you can see it's added a vertical area for it. So if that was fencing, we can get our vertical area of panelling. Come back to the viewport, and now we could also put in a little width. Say it's 0.2 wide, and you can see now, I'll just zoom in a little bit, it's created this volume there. Now we come into our results now, we've got the volume of that swept width and height, and the horizontal area of it, and the vertical area. So you can see from a simple length we can extract quite a lot of information, which is useful to have. So the other thing we can do as well is we can define where our guideline is, which is kind of handy because in different circumstances you've got access to different information. You might only have the center line, you might have the inside face, you might have the outside face. So again, this is all part of the ethos of making things easier to do and extract information. So I can come in here, let's go and make that a little bit lower, so we've got a little cobblestone strip. And then what we can do is if we go to the 3D site, and I'll switch on that little cobblestone strip, you can see we've got that running round that edge there. And so we've extracted quite a lot of information very quickly, very easily from the system there. So let's go and look at counts. Top down. So let's say that what we want to do now is put some bushes on there, for instance. So we can go new count. And in the counts we've got a variety of symbols available to help us along. But let's stick with the pyramid. It looks a bit bush-like. And just choose a little green colour for it. And I'm going to tick the overlay points to show you something here. And we'll use it, we'll put it in the bank landscape again, and we'll just call them bushes. Small bushes or something, small bushes. Create. And we'll just go and put a couple in this side and a couple in that side. Now, I'll just show you, if I rotate it, they've just gone at the default 1 meter altitude at the bottom there. But because we've ticked the overlay tool, we can hit calculate and go OK. And we go to the 3D site and go and switch our small bushes on. You can see it's overlaid them onto the bank. So for counts it's purely visible, but these overlay options are available for the lengths and areas as well, so you can overlay them across the surfaces. So you can get true surface areas, true positions, much nicer for visualizing and checking your data. So it all helps with the visualization of what you're doing and how it's going to look in practice. You know, we can even change, you know, say where these are actually bigger bushes, we can kind of go in and change the sizes there, pretty much the same way as spots. So this is all leading to giving you a lot more information from your data and a lot more information about your site. So you can see why we're pretty excited about this release. It's going to really empower people to take off a lot more information. So let's go to takeoff again and have some more fun. We come in here and put the proposed site in. You can see in this one we've got this footings underneath our foundation, and in version 6, sorry, it would have been a little bit harder to trace off, but now again with the tools we can do this really fast, really easy. So let's go and create a new trench network, and we'll call it footings. And let's call that main house. And I think I've got a footings profile that I've already created, so it's 0.5 wide and it's a concrete slab. So here we're showing you some of the tools again and how you can use them to really speed up your input. So now we can go offset from selected, and we can just grab that line. And since we know that's already at the foundation level, we might want to offset it 0.25. I've gone the wrong way again, that we just look at our boundary there, so it's giving you visual information about what you're doing. Make that minus. And so we want to go 0.8 below the top of the foundation. And we'll go OK. And immediately we've got that perfectly offset trench running around there. And then we could go and say, okay, we want to put in these central ones, but we don't have the center line, we've only got the side lines, which is quite common with footings. You don't always have the center line to work with. So we can do offset from input, and we can come in here and we'll set our altitude to 23.1, and we'll select the start point and end point, right click, and so what we'll do now is we'll put in our 0.25 and minus 0.8 and go OK. So for similar operations we're caching up the data you've input, so you don't have to repeat so much now. So we've put in our first line and it's offset to the center, but now we can just come in and grab these 2 points, right click, all the data's already there, so all we have to do is go OK and keep going. So very fast and very easy now, once you've set things up. So I'll just finish off the whole lot just to show the speed there. So we've put in a nice array of footings there very quickly and very easily. I'll just hit calculate. And go to the 3D view. Let's just rotate that around a bit so we can get a bit of view there. And we can come in and we can switch off our foundation slab, and we can see we've got our nice grid of trenching. Switch that off, you can see that's all nicely cut out. So this gives excellent visual checks and very quick input of the foundation slabs, and accurate because you're just offsetting from specific known places to specific situations. So it's nice and rapid and clean. Okay, so another little thing that we can do now as well, again to help you along, is at the moment in version 6 you get the fill for each of the structures in place, and it's just a raw volume. But now you can allocate a material to it, because more often than not under foundations you'll have a specific material. And so if we come to the foundation now, onto the foundation structure, we might add a last material in there, and we'll call that engineered fill for that. We don't worry about the thickness, come to the details, and we'll tick this last material is fill option. And what that's telling it is that this last material here is going to be used where the fill is. And so we can calculate that. And come back here and switch the foundation off, and you can see we've got different material running through the system there. And if we go up to our results here and go to our cut and fill, the foundation materials now will have in the volume of the engineered fill that we need, and it's no longer in the fill list, so it's part of the materials that you bring in to build your foundation. So very useful that, and saves a bit of calculation time on your part where you'd have to get the volume of fill and then find the material for it. So you can allocate that now. So very useful there. So the last thing I'd like to show you is another input tool option that's going to make life easier for editing and changing things. Let's say there's been a change in your plan and you've got a different working area. So typically in the past you'd have to come in and grab the boundary, and maybe you'd start moving the points and editing, adding extra points and moving them around to create a shape on it. But now on version 7 we've got a merge areas option, which is a modifier to the tool. So we can come in with our polyline, and let's say we're putting in an area here, doing something a bit odd just for the sake of argument. And one thing I'll point out whilst we're doing this is, you notice that we also do this kind of overlay of the mesh as we're moving now, so you can see where the mesh is, and that will help you again with your input, because you'll know that something's wrong. If you're outside of where it can mesh, it'll go blank like that, so you can't see the mesh, but you can see the mesh coming around. Very useful visual for you to help you know what's going on. So, but then I'll come inside here and finish that off, and I didn't have the merge areas tool hit, so I'll just Control Z there, and then activate merge areas and finish it off. And you can see, because I had the merge areas modifier ticked, all it did was merge that into the existing boundary, so we've got one working area there. Again, very useful. You can use this with foundations, with structures. So say this structure here you had to modify and add in a conservatory extension or something here, you could just draw in the conservatory extension with merge areas active, and it would merge it into that structure. So it's speeding up your editing, making life easier for you. So as you can see there, we've put a lot of effort into giving you some new tools that will speed things up for you, and some new features that will enable you to do more sophisticated structures, and a lot of cool stuff with measurements to get a lot of information out of your measurements without having to do some manual calculations or go to other packages. So I really hope you've enjoyed what we're showing you here, and I hope it's all going to be useful for you. I think it will. I certainly enjoyed showing it to you.
Take control of your Earthworks estimating with MudShark. Delivering the most flexible and user-requested features to date, MudShark 7 is easy, fast, and accurate, giving you unparalleled control over your Earthworks projects. Sometimes you need more than volumes for your Earthworks jobs, so we've introduced measurement tools. You can extract true surface areas from your sites so you can calculate the areas for turf, mulch, or paving. You can also calculate links with ease from existing areas, or just create new shapes. With counts, we give you multiple three-dimensional objects to use in your project. Control how cut and fill and trim is applied with our new advanced options for structures. We've made calculating banking and batter easy and simple, and you can apply them when you're initially generating your structures, or you can edit these structures at any time. MudShark was designed to make estimating your earthworks easy, fast, and accurate, and we take this to the next level with our takeoff enhancements. Transmute has always been one of the most powerful tools in MudShark, but now it's even better. It can transmute dashed contour lines, and any structure is now a breeze to take off. If you're trying to estimate a slab, trench, or even just a footpath, you can use offset input lines to take off even when lines are excluded from your plans. Having to re-enter data really slows you down. Now MudShark remembers what you last entered for a field, whether you're entering figures for altitudes or offsets, or angles or thicknesses. We'll remember the data so you can work even quicker. And that's just some of the features we're delivering with version 7. Take control of your earthworks estimating with MudShark. Get your free 14-day trial today.